You used to make things. Don't pretend you don't know what I'm talking about. There was something. A song, a story, a business idea you wrote down at 2 a.m. and never looked at again. Drawings you were actually good at before someone told you it wasn't a real career. A vision so clear you could feel it before it existed. Something that was completely unmistakably yours. And you believed in it enough to start, and then you stopped, and you told yourself a story about why. That life got busy, that you weren't talented enough, that the timing was wrong, that you'd get back to it when things settled down. Things never settled down, eventually never came. And the thing you were supposed to make is still sitting inside you, unfinished, getting quieter every year, while you watch other people make their version of it and tell yourself it's too late now anyway. I'm here to tell you that story is a lie, but more than that, I'm here to tell you it didn't happen by accident. You were built to create, not as a hobby, not as a weekend activity for when you've finished your real responsibilities, as a biological, spiritual, fundamental imperative. Creation is not something humans do for fun. It is what humans are. The ability to look at what exists and imagine what doesn't, to reach into nothing and pull something real out of it. In the beginning, God created. Then he made something in his image. And the first thing that image did was name things, build things, make things. You're not here to consume. You are here to contribute, to make something that did not exist before you arrived and will outlast you after you leave. You are here to add to this world, not just move through it with your eyes fixed on someone else's screen. That is not arrogance. That is your actual job description, and you have been conned into abandoning it. Here is the con they built a machine, the most sophisticated attention capture machine ever constructed, and they aimed it directly at the part of your brain that used to make things, the same restlessness that used to push you toward a blank page now gets routed into a scroll. The same creative hunger that used to make you reach for a pen now gets fed algorithmic content until it's too sedated to cause trouble. The same impulse that built civilizations, that wrote symphonies, that painted ceilings and put human beings on the moon, quietly redirected into watching other people do those things in 15-second clips while you lie in bed at midnight wondering why you feel so empty. That emptiness is not depression. That emptiness is starvation. You are a creator who has not created in years, and your soul knows it even when your brain has made peace with it. They did not take your creativity away. They just gave you an endless supply of someone else's, cheap, frictionless, available the second you reach for your phone, and let your own atrophy from disuse. And they made money from every second of it. Every second you spent watching instead of making was a second they converted into profit. You were not relaxing. You were working for them for free. And calling it entertainment, now let's talk about what they actually took. Not just your time, not just your attention. Those are easy to mourn. They took your belief, the belief that you had something worth making, that your specific, weird, unoptimized version of an idea had value, that the thing living in your head, imperfect and unfinished and nothing like what's already out there, deserved to exist. They replaced that belief with comparison, with metrics, with the constant crushing awareness of how many people are already doing what you want to do better, with bigger audiences, with more confidence than you have ever felt about anything in your life. So you watched instead of made. You consumed instead of created. You scrolled through other people's finished work and used it as evidence that yours wasn't worth starting. That is the most successful theft in history. They didn't take your creativity. They convinced you to hand it over voluntarily and thank them for the content while you did it. And the worst part? You did it to yourself too, every time you said you're not really an artist. Every time you showed someone your work and apologized before they could react. Every time you compared your first draft to someone else's final product and decided you weren't cut out for this. Every time you picked up your phone instead of your pen because the phone was easier and easier is always right there. You participated in your own creative surrender. And the machine was designed to make that feel like a free choice. It was not a free choice. It was a slow, engineered erosion of the most important thing you had. And you deserve to be furious about that, not at yourself. At the system built specifically to produce this outcome, and people exactly like you, people with enough creativity to be worth harvesting and enough self-doubt to make the harvest easy. And let's be honest about something else. They took the children you haven't had, the family you keep saying isn't the right time for, the most ancient act of creation available to a human being, bringing a new life into the world, shaping a consciousness, building something that breathes and carries your fingerprints into a future you'll never fully see. System does not want you doing that. Either. It wants your most creative years in service of someone else's quarterly targets. It wants you mobile, uncommitted, available. It wants your energy going into productivity, not creation. Into consumption, not family, so it made parenthood feel impossible, too expensive, too disruptive, too much of a sacrifice at exactly the wrong moment. It handed you a subscription service and a career ladder and told you that you could have the life you actually wanted later. Once you had earned enough to deserve it, you have been earning long enough. The later they promised is not coming, and the years designed for your most irreplaceable creations are moving whether you are using them or not. This is not an accident. And seeing it clearly is the first step to refusing it. Here is what nobody tells you about the people who kept creating. They are not more talented than you. Some of them are. Most are not. What they have is not superior ability. It is a stubborn, irrational refusal to accept the trade. They kept making things that were bad, things nobody watched, things that embarrassed them and fell flat and looked nothing like the vision they'd started with. They kept going, not because it was working. They kept going because stopping felt like dying. That feeling, that uncomfortable sense that not creating is slowly killing something essential in you, is not melodrama. That is accurate information about who you are. Listen to it. You are not too late, not too old, not too far behind, not too amateur, too niche, too inconsistent, or too anything else the voice in your head has been using to keep you watching instead of making. You are just someone who stopped. And stopping is reversible. Here is the thing about creation they never taught you. It does not require talent. It requires nerve. Talent is useful. But talent without the nerve to begin is a locked room. Everything inside, nobody going in or out. Nerve without talent is a rough, embarrassing, improving, eventually a remarkable body of work built by someone who refused to be stopped by their own limitations. Every creator you admire started worse than you are right now. Every finished thing that ever moved you began as something unfinished that someone was terrified to show anyone. Every voice that felt inevitable was once uncertain. Every work that felt permanent was once just a decision to begin. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not talent, not timing, not resources or connections or the right moment. It is the gap between starting and not starting, between making something and continuing to think about making something, between being a creator and being someone who used to be one. That gap closes the second you decide to close it. So here's what you do. You start again. Today. Not when you have the right equipment or the right platform or the right amount of time carved out of a schedule that will never cooperate. Today, with what you have. Right now, you make something bad intentionally, if that's what it takes to get moving. You make the embarrassing thing, then the next thing, then the next, until the muscle you abandoned starts to remember what it was built for. You turn off the phone for 1 hour and sit in the silence, and remember that the discomfort is not a sign something is wrong. It is a sign you are close to something real. You stop waiting for permission, for validation, for someone to tell you what you make deserves to exist. It deserves to exist because you made it. That is the only credential that has ever mattered. You're not a viewer, not a subscriber, not a follower, not a consumer demographic with a short attention span and a phone full of other people's finished work. You are a maker. You were always a maker. The part of you that knows this has been waiting the whole time, buried under years of consumption and comparison and the lie that it was simply too late. It is not too late. The thing you were supposed to make is still in there, Still waiting. Still completely yours. Go make it badly. Make it slowly. Make it in whatever scraps of time and space they didn't manage to take from you, but make it. Because the world where you never made the thing you were supposed to make is a smaller world. And you are the only person who can do anything about that. Stop watching. Start making. Now. And as always, stay frosty.